right, yes, start recording.
Okay, so it should be recording.
I think it is. Turn that off so it doesn't break anything. All right, I
Yeah,
think
it's
it's
recording.
recording.
We set this time.
Cool. All right. So, do you want to tell your story again first?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like before, my story is about Thanksgiving and just how different it was compared to last year and how um my family decided to keep it small amongst the four of us and did our Thanksgiving, which was much different compared to the years before because my family does a potluck scenario where each kind of group brings something. So this year my family had to fend for themselves and kind of just cook like what we could and like what we normally do. And one of the ways we kind of made it enjoyable is that instead of like dressing up like how we traditionally do, we all wore like matching pajamas and kind of just made it more of like a family dinner type thing. And it was nice to have it more intimate compared to when you have big family and stuff like that. It was, which was still nice, and it was
Mhm.
just different compared to the years before.
Okay. My screen go black. If it did for me, but I'm not sure if you can see me or not.
No, I can see it. You're good.
Okay, that's fine. My screen went black, and I don't know why, but it's fine. Um, so I think I asked first about uh, what did I ask? Was anybody upset that they couldn't come to the family Thanksgiving like everybody else who wasn't involved this year?
I think, like I said before, everyone was kind of like bummed out, but everyone understood that we were doing it for like health reasons and to make sure that the my grandparents who were frail and older didn't get sick, and how like
Mhm.
some of our family members even like my dad right now is out and like dropping off like stuff at my grandparents' doorstep so they don't have to go outside and like put themselves at risk. It kind of gives them the opportunity, kind of like an extra barrier and stuff like that. So everyone kind of understood why.
That's good. And then before you mentioned that you had COVID, so I asked how all of that was and like what your experience through that was. And then I
Yeah,
asked you
like I
where you had
mentioned before, it was not very good. Wouldn't do it
yeah.
again. It was a bummer, and how I had basically I mentioned before I had to write it out at Hiram, and I was sick unfortunately, and I was symptomatic, and how it was nice that when I did finally get to come home, and I'm home right now, that I kind of get to see my family, and I get to be more it's more intimate and stuff like that with them. It's nice to be able to hang out with them because normally I don't get to being at Hiram and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I think the last thing that I asked was anybody in like your immediate family like worried like you stay on one half and then we'll stay on the other half when you went home?
Yeah, and it's kind of how I mentioned before. Like I told a story about how I got it. I had gotten it from my extended uncle, and how everyone else, my immediately four of us, we all tested positive, but my mom, my dad, my brother were all asymptomatic, and I was the only one that became symptomatic and stuff like that. So when I did come home, they knew I was no longer contagious. Obviously, I wouldn't be released if I was, and they were okay with it, and they were just happy to see me like healthy and better.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do mine now. So basically for mine, um, it was about Thanksgiving as well. Like I said before, my family's really close. My aunt, my grandma, and my great grandma all live in a row together, like in separate houses, but all in a row. Their houses are in a row. And usually we get together on Fridays, and we're just a really close family. So whenever we do Thanksgiving, it's basically like all of us. But my aunt, she's a dental hygienist, so she's kind of like quarantined herself at her house when she doesn't have to come out, just to like stay away from my grandparents, just so that way they don't get sick or anything. And my grandpa went through his own health issues, and so basically my whole Thanksgiving story was my dad had to go do a job for work in Washington D.C. and he went there to install just a little drawer for his customer. And basically, he overheard this guy on the phone, and he was talking about having a fever of like 102 or 103 or something like that, really crazy high. And my dad was just like, "Did you get tested?" And he was just like, "Yeah, I did, and I tested positive." He's like, "I was going to tell you." And so basically, my dad called me on Friday when he found out, and he's just like, "You got to go pack your stuff and go stay over at Sid's, which is my girlfriend." So I stayed over at her house for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. Um, and so basically, we went through Thanksgiving, and it was just my grandparents, my great grandma, and my girlfriend and her dad, and it was like a bummer. And like the weather outside was horrible, so it was a really crappy day. And everybody was just like, "Oh, this is a terrible Thanksgiving because nobody's here." And usually we have like a whole bunch of people. And so basically, we did like the turkey and ham and all the food for like 20 people. So we were all miserable and like tired afterwards. And then in Middlefield, which is where I live, we did, or they had like the Grinch come and steal the presents um, all around town that people leave out, and then they go and donate them. And then they do fireworks that night. So my parents drove over and they stayed in their car, and we all kind of socially distanced around the car and watched fireworks. So it kind of like brought up the spirit a little bit. But yeah.
I remember I asked you about how like it felt because you have like an intimate family, kind of like how I am, how it
Mhm.
felt like being separated from them and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was definitely very weird. Coming back because I came back on Tuesday. Coming back home, it was just like the house felt very weird. It kind of felt like, oh, you were exposed. I'm gonna be exposed coming in, but it was after the time that anybody would be contagious. So it was just kind of like like it was all in your head at that point, and it was just a weird feeling to be like, I knew you were exposed and I shouldn't be here, but I am. Yeah,
And
I
then I
was.
remember asking you how your dad did with the whole isolation, coming from how when I did it was like god
Mm,
awful. Wondering how he did with
yeah.
it.
Basically, he was good. He never had any symptoms or anything, so he's like clear there because he had mask and gloves and everything. Um, basically, all he did for quarantine was just try to keep himself busy. I mean, he had to work a couple days, but then up until Thanksgiving, he didn't have to work after that for like 5 days. So he like went out and cleaned the car one day and just tried to keep himself busy as much as possible. And then my mom was here with him too, just to give him company. So
Yeah, it's good that he
yeah.
wasn't alone. Your mom was there to kind of offer the social support.
Mhm.
I'm trying to think what else I asked earlier. Um, I think I asked you just how your family was doing with like the whole COVID aspect and like your grandparents, like making sure they were healthy and stuff like that too.
Yeah. They're everybody's good. My grandpa, everybody's still weary about being around. He had a whole bunch of like sugar issues, and then we figured out he had a heart attack, and he had to go for an open heart surgery. A lot of like big things happened at once, and so everybody's just like, okay, he just had surgery, so let's just stay away from him while he's like his immune system is down. But now they told him like about 6 weeks was how long he had where he was like recovering, and I think his 6 weeks is up like the beginning of next week. So everybody's just now starting to like kind of come around a little bit more. And then tomorrow will be the first day that we'll go have dinner. It's like a big, or not a big group, but like the immediate family again. So we're excited. Kind of like a little celebration thing.
It's kind of hard to cope because obviously like you want to see your immediate family, especially with him having like important surgeries like that. Like you want to like right after kind of be there for them and like check on them and make
Yeah.
them feel like appreciated. And this is kind of hard because it's actually better like to stay away from them compared to go see them and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
definitely challenging.
Yeah. I'm just ready for all of it to go away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's kind of like everything we had. Am I missing anything, or?
I don't think so.
Okay. So hopefully this time this recording worked.
Yeah, hopefully. I still have the notification in the top left that it says you're recording, so.
Yeah, so was mine, so thank God. So hopefully after then we'll be good.
All right.
Alright. It was good talking to you.
Yep. Bye.